You're listening to the Mindful Mama podcast, episode 83. Today, we're talking about the Mindful Mama Manifesto. Welcome to the Mindful Mama podcast. Here, it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. A mindful mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have, and when you are thriving, when you have calm and peace within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clarke-FIELDS, Mindfulness Mama Mentor. I coach overstressed moms on how to cultivate self-awareness in their daily lives and to take family and life to a new level of awakening. I've been practicing yoga and mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I'm the mom of two girls ages 7 and 10. I'm so glad you're here today, my friend. I'm so glad I'm in your ears and we're connecting like this because I have something I'm really excited to share with you. This is a solo episode, and I know I love the interviews too. They're amazing, but this is going to be really cool. I hope you really enjoy this Mindful Mama Manifesto. And before we dive in, I just want to let you know that coming up, we are going to have a free 5-day training for the Mindful Parenting course. It's a 5-day live training from October 9th through 13th. And you can go to hunteryoga.com/events to find out how to sign up for that. What is a mindful mama, right? This is the Mindful Mama podcast. And I've been thinking about this idea of who are we, right? Who are we as a generation? Like, we're not June Cleaver. We're not like, we haven't got our aprons on, away at home, and we're working moms. We're moms who are at home. We're moms in the middle, doing all kinds of things in the world. And we're kind of a new generation of mom, right? We don't want to be the helicopter mom or the snowplow mom, but we want to be present for our kids. We know now how much their mental health and well-being matters, right? We want more for them maybe than just monetary success, right? The outer trappings of success. And we go a little deeper. And so I've been thinking about like this, who are we, right? Who are we as mindful mamas? And I really think that I was thinking about the work that I do with my clients and the courses and the group coaching and stuff. And I was thinking about like, what is the larger point that is so important and so valuable? Like, what is that underlying value? And I realized that it could be summed up kind of like this, like, you are already the best mom for your kids. That underneath our reactiveness, underneath our fears, all that stuff, that's when we are truly present, and we are present and peaceful in ourselves. We are exactly what our kids need, right? When we chip away at the outer layers of stress and overwhelm, then our peaceful, authentic nature is what shines through, right? So I was thinking about this idea, like, and that's where the mindfulness comes in. We know that practicing mindfulness as mothers, whether it means making time for sitting meditation during the day, having a mindful walk during the day, taking time to just breathe and have a cup of tea in the morning, doing yoga, some kind of regular practice to get quiet and turn within, that this is the heart of this mindfulness is at the heart of this, because this helps us to get to that place where we can respond rather than react with all those sort of layers of culture, and we can practice that self-love and self-compassion, because it goes back to sort of what's at the intro of this podcast. When we are thriving, when we are peaceful within, then we can give it to our children. And we can't, if we don't have it within, like if we don't have it, we can't give it. But when we do, holy moly, then we are shifting patterns of generations, because there's been so much fear and so much suffering inside, right? So it's really about our own work of transforming our fear and suffering. And I know I've used this metaphor before, and I really think it just resonates so powerfully with me and so many of my clients, is this idea of the orange. And when I have an orange, And when I squeeze an orange, what comes out? It's not pineapple juice. It's not pomegranate juice. Orange juice comes out when I squeeze an orange. And it's the same for you. Like, what is inside of you is what's going to be coming out when you are squeezed. And it's funny because in my own story, like, this is something I instinctively really knew as a mom. Like, I knew that when I was suffering so much, when my oldest daughter was little, when I was so triggered, I had so much anger and I had so much resistance and I was really unhappy, I knew instinctively that my own well-being had to be the first priority, because if I couldn't give what I didn't have. I needed to develop that within. I needed to have the space to be myself, to have my own life, to have my own value, so then I could give it to my child. I really knew that very instinctively. It's something that's always come really naturally to me all my life, is that I knew that I had to take care of myself. And then I could meet the world in a full way. Maybe it comes from being like a really sensitive, really sensitive human being, right? Like that artistic personality, and seeing that when I'm in a roller coaster of emotions, when I'm miserable, like I'm not doing anything well. When I remember I used to be a high school teacher, and I would just like, I'd have days where I could barely show up, and sometimes I didn't show up because it was, I didn't have that grounding and that well-being. And so I really knew that. I knew that I had to take care of myself, and this was a lifelong sort of quest of mine. And I think it's interesting because sometimes it surprises me that we don't realize that it's hard, that we have to take care of ourselves first, that we have to fill our own cup first, that we have to take care of ourselves, and then we can give. And then we can give. We can't just give and give and give until nothing's left, even though that's what our culture tells us we should do. That's why this is like a new generation of mother, right? This idea of us as these mindful mothers, mindful mamas, because this ideal that, maybe is probably perpetuated by men and perpetuated for, hundreds of thousands of years, was that women weren't valuable, and that women were valuable in as much as we sacrificed ourselves, right? This idea of the martyr. And it's so harmful. This idea is so harmful, yet it tends to be kind of lodged in our culture, and it tends to be thrown at us again and again. So when my daughter was young and I was suffering, and I felt that pressure, like, oh, you should just be, why would you be spending time doing these things that fill your soul, right? Like, why would you be spending time painting in the studio as I was? And I felt that pressure. And I think there was a little bit of the rebel in me, like, F you. But we need that, and I want you to have a little bit of that rebel in you to this cultural message, because it really is harmful, right? We need to take a stand against this harmful idea that we somehow have to be better, or somehow we have to be perfect, and we have to do it all perfectly. Like that somehow we have to keep striving to be better and better in order to be enough. Because that's total BS. We don't. You are already enough. You don't need more stuff. You don't need better clothes. You don't need to lose 20 pounds to be the perfect mama for your kids, to be an actualized, loving, thriving human being. We need to fight against this idea that we are not good enough. Instead, we need to slow down and value and love ourselves, which becomes a radical act. And even we have to become present, right, to this moment. Value and love ourselves and become present in this moment. Like, oh my God, are you kidding? Instead, let's scroll through our Facebook feed, or let's get distracted and watch a show or another thing in a video and go shopping and add to our to-do list and get more stuff done in a day. Like, this is the message. These are the messages that our culture tells us, is that we should just do more, and we're never enough, and we have to have more and do more and fit more in. But so this idea of loving yourself and valuing yourself and being present, slowing down to be present to this moment where life actually is, by the way, it becomes a radical act. It becomes a revolutionary act. It's kind of a revolution, right? It's a very quiet, peaceful revolution. But it's about fighting against this idea that we are not good enough. Because right now, as you listen to this, you are good enough. You are powerful. Right now, in this moment, you can shift the way you look at the world and the way you respond to the world. As we start to slow down and reject this idea that we need more and we're not good enough, we start to slow down and realize, like, wow, look at this. I live in this beautiful world. Look at these trees outside my window with the beautiful green leaves giving me oxygen. I have these 2 arms and 2 legs. I can walk places and carry things that I need to. I can start to appreciate things like my organs and my blood and my breath, right? I can start to appreciate this beautiful, fleeting life. Start to appreciate the beauty and the abundance all around me. But if I'm constantly in a state of I'm not good enough and I need more to be happy, then I'm never going to appreciate it. Instead, it's a radical act to cultivate that appreciation. It's a radical act to slow down. It's a radical act to transform the way you see the world. And even our children, right? Then we can start to see our children. We tend to parent from this place of our children aren't good enough, right? We're always trying to perfect them the way if we're always trying to perfect ourselves, we're trying to perfect them too. We never see them as good enough. Like, perfectionism is a curse of never, ever good enough. And when we see our kids as never, ever good enough, they feel that. And instead, if we start to slow down and love and appreciate ourselves, we can love and appreciate our children, even maybe when they don't have pleasing emotions. Maybe even when they're in a place where they're vulnerable or ugly or acting badly, when they're torn and twisted and they're feeling not themselves. Like, we can even love and accept them then, and then they can relax and love and accept themselves as well. We can see, and it's a kind of a radical act, I think, to see our children as whole and complete human beings who don't need punishment and fear to tell them that they are bad, right? It's crazy because we use punishment and we use fear out of this sense of love, right? But it's love from a sense of fear of we don't trust that they have their inner compass, right? So we want to push it on them from the outside. Instead, mindful mamas, we can see that our children need role models of mindfulness and skillful communication. They need role models for how to take care of difficult feelings. They need role models. They need moms who love themselves and meet their own needs, because how do our children learn to love themselves and meet their own needs? When they see us. They see us loving ourselves. They see us meeting our own needs and taking care of ourselves and creating healthy boundaries, and whatever that is, as we live it, they learn it. So why is this different, right? Why is this idea of the mindful mamas? Why is this different from what's out there? I mean, I think the difference is in that rejecting this idea of not good enough, right? And saying, no, actually, I'm going to love and value myself, but also not blaming each other and not blaming ourselves for our mistakes and challenges. Instead, seeing the truth, which is that each of us struggle, And instead of seeing our challenges, seeing them not as flaws and mistakes to be stamped out and suppressed and this evidence of something wrong with us, but instead seeing them as teachers. What are the lessons that we can learn from this? Strong lessons. We can see our anger, our frustration, our feeling overwhelmed as teachers. What can we do different? How can we shift things? How can we slow down and become more present and insert those pauses in? Because our challenges are what make us real. They're what make us human. And they teach us compassion for others, because as we start to see our own problems without all that judgment and that labeling and that self-hatred, as we start to see our mistakes instead as teachers, and we start to have compassion for our own suffering, then we can have compassion for others' suffering. Because the truth is that, our yelling and our own ugly moments, right? We're biologically programmed for reactivity. Not only are we conditioned for it through our culture, right? Like, you learn when someone yells at you as a kid, you learn to yell at someone else. This is how things are passed on, how generational patterns happen. I can see my rage goes right back to my dad's and right back to his. So mindful mamas, we can see that this is we can stop blaming ourselves for this. This isn't your fault. You're conditioned for this, but also you have this biology of reactivity. Like, we have evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, some reactivity, right? So that we can react quickly. Literally, the reptilian lower part of our brain, the part that's the innermost brainstem part of our brain, literally cuts off access to the logical, thoughtful part of our brain, so that's reactivity, right? So that we can, escape the saber-toothed tiger quickly without thinking, should I go and, get my child from that tiger? No, it just happens, right? And this is what happens with your reactivity. When you are having reactivity, yelling, you have anger, frustration, all those things. This is your biology just happening. It's not your fault. You didn't make a choice to say, I'm going to be yelling at my child. That reactivity happens. And as we start to recognize that, yes, like, we were conditioned through our culture to be ordering and threatening, and that we have this reactivity that's causing us to yell and to see sort of threats, right, in our lives, even as they are so comfortable now, right? We can have compassion for ourselves. Oh, it's really a form of suffering. Anger is a form of suffering. And as we start to have compassion for ourselves and see ourselves accepting the full range of our feelings, right? Accepting that, yeah, we're going to have anger, we're going to have sadness, and we're going to have those feelings. We're not going to have pleasing feelings all the time. No, it's just not the way life is. But we don't have to add the extra layer of suffering that we shouldn't feel this way, that we shouldn't ever feel this way. Like, that just adds this extra layer of suffering on it. And mindful mamas, we reject that extra layer of judgment. And we want this compassion, right? We want to cultivate this compassion and cultivate it for our children too. So we don't need to be perfect. We don't need to be better, right? Our culture teaches us that we're never good enough, but we reject that. We are. And we also, thinking about those feelings, right? Seeing that biology of our feelings, like, we also reject this cultural notion that bad feelings are bad or evil, right? Or something to be suppressed. We come from this sort of, in the United States, we have sort of puritanical roots and things like that. And sort of the modus operandi in our culture is, when we have a difficult feeling, is, suppress it. Distract yourself, scroll through Facebook, have a drink, go shopping, eat more. It's all about numbing out so we don't feel our feelings, suppressing it. or either that, or we explode. We're completely subsumed by it. We have a temper tantrum, really. And instead, the mindful mamas, we hold as our aspiration the middle path. The middle path of mindfully feeling our feelings. We know that this mindful path of feeling our feelings is the path of freedom for ourselves and our children. Freedom because we don't have to be afraid of difficult feelings, because when we practice to sit and to be quiet and to feel what it feels like and to be able to sit with our discomfort, wow, a whole world opens up. Because you know what? Your comfort zone is a prison. Every way you grow is outside your comfort zone. And as we start to learn to mindfully feel our feelings, our children learn from that. They learn from us. They learn that it's okay to have these feelings and that we don't have to be reactive to them and that we can breathe or walk mindfully through them. And that's not easy. That's why we hold it as an aspiration, right? And we hold as an aspiration the aspiration to communicate our needs without shame and blame, to communicate and build connection and strong relationships, to develop our kids' internal compass rather than obedience to an outside authority necessarily, right? Like we develop their internal desire, their internal will to want to do the right thing because that's what's right. And when other people have boundaries, it hurts them, right? So we hold this aspiration to communicate through our words with our kids, to communicate through our deeds and thoughts and actions that we accept all of ourselves and that we have these, we have healthy boundaries and we love and respect ourselves and we love and respect our kids, right? So there's that communication in there. So we understand that we need to develop these things within, and then we can give it to our children, and it's easier for them. We can transform generational patterns. I mean, it's huge. All right, so I've written all this into one smaller manifesto that I know I've been kind of talking about some of these ideas for a little bit now, but I want to share this to you in one manifesto, and I want to know if this resonates with you, right? Does this resonate with you? So here it is. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. The Mindful Mama Manifesto. A mindful mama is a new generation of mother, present, evolving, calm, authentic, and free. Mindful mamas reject the culture of not good enough, knowing that when we free ourselves from stress and limiting stories, our authentic, peaceful nature shines through. Mindful mamas practice self-compassion and see their challenges as teachers, not flaws. A mindful mama values wisdom over reactivity, empathy over obedience, and begins anew every day. Mindful mamas live what we want our kids to learn, knowing that the best parenting is in modeling. Mindful mamas go within and get quiet to access their power. Mindful mamas practice presence, create their experience, embrace imperfection, love themselves. Mindful mamas are motivated, knowing that with every step, they are changing things for the generations that follow. I am a mindful mama. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mindful Mama podcast with the Manifesto. I'm so excited about it. I wonder, does it resonate with you? If it does, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. You can find the show notes at mindfulmamapodcast.com. You can email me at hunter@hunterclarkefields.com. And if this manifesto resonates with you, I want to give it to you. I made a little bit of a mini version that's a screensaver for your smartphone. And you can find that at hunteryoga.com/phone. Okay, hunteryoga.com/phone. I'm going to write that down, so I put it there. So go to hunteryoga.com/phone hunteryoga.com // phone to find a little screensaver that you can put in there. I'm going to put that in my phone too to remind us, right? We need these reminders. We post them up everywhere to hold these aspirations to our hearts. If you haven't already, I would love it if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave a rating. I'm really kind of sad I don't have any new ratings since the last time. And it's so easy to leave a rating. If you haven't done one, please do so. If you're on your phone, you can just go to the podcast app, search for the Mindful Mama podcast. Even if you're already subscribed, search for it. You click on it when you find it, and then go to ratings and reviews. And right there it says leave a rating or review. So please do that. It really helps get more ears to the podcast, helps with the whole iTunes algorithm and things like that. So please do that. Coming up is the 5-day live mindful parenting training. We're going to be learning some awesome stuff like how to tame temper tantrums and what does punishment really teach, and all kinds of good stuff. So that's going to be a free live training. And then after that, we're going to be having the Mindful Parenting course, the live version of the course open up. And this is really special because, you can take the self-study version at any time, but when you join the live version, it's kind of you upgrade to a whole different level because you get 8 weeks of live coaching calls. That's, I don't know how many minutes, because I basically stay on for 60 or 90 minutes for every call. So we go through specific instances. You get to hear other moms. It's really motivating to go through it as a group, and to hear and get that live feedback is really important. Plus, not only that, everybody who joins the live course gets to retake the course every single time it comes. So it's almost like you're joining the club. You get to join the club and to be part of that every single time. People have already been doing that. They've been joining every single time, and they hop on the live calls, and they grow in more depth and knowledge every single time they take it. It's a really powerful thing. So even if you've taken the self-study course already, you'll be given the option to upgrade to the live course. So keep an eye on your email for that. Or if you have questions about that, you can always email me at hunter@hunterclarkefields.com. But I'm really excited because it's a very powerful thing. And I hope you'll join us. And there will be an option this time to do the accelerator version of the Mindful Parenting course. And that will include some one-on-one coaching sessions that you can schedule with me. So that will be a very limited, that would be obviously limited in number because of my time. So check that out. And of course, let me know if you have questions. Coming up in the next episode, we are going to have Kristen Neff on. She is the guru on self-compassion. She has done all the research. She has an incredible book. She's done incredible work. So I can't wait for you to hear that. That's coming up really soon. And don't forget, you can get your free audio guide at mindfulmomguide.com, but go to hunteryoga.com/phone for your Mindful Mama Manifesto on the phone. So thanks as always to Bill for the music, and thanks to my kids for their nice intros and outros that you have been hearing, hopefully in the last couple of episodes. They've been having fun with that. And I wish you a beautiful week. I hope this, it's I feel really strongly now, I feel like this manifesto kind of puts things into words that I feel, that hopefully comes across, that this idea that we are already enough, right? And it's about uncovering that peacefulness. It's not about becoming better or perfect. And in fact, perfection is a problem, right? Let's love ourselves, people. Let's do it. It's a revolutionary act. Join the revolution. I am sending love to you. I'm wishing you a beautiful, beautiful week, my friend, and we'll talk soon. Namaste. Are you a mom who wants to feel less stressed and enjoy motherhood more? Do you want to be calmer with your kids and be more present for all of your life? I'm a mom who has gone from really being stressed and yelling when my kids were young to having a more grounded, more at ease relationship with life and having more enjoyable cooperative relationships with my kids. And I've shown hundreds and thousands of women around the world how to do this. And I want to show you how to do it too. So if you are currently feeling stuck or stagnant, this is definitely for you. I've created a free downloadable Audible training, Mindfulness for Moms, the superpower you need. And it will show you how to respond rather than react, how to let go of stress and feel more grounded in seconds, how to have a smoother day today and become more present for your kids for a lifetime. To get on this audio training absolutely free, simply visit the website www.mindfulmomguide.com.